Check, check, check. Hmm? Okay, got it. Are we live on YouTube? Januar? Yan, YouTube udah live. All right. So while we wait for Figs, we're gonna go ahead and check YouTube. So we don't have anyone right now on YouTube.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Hey, yes, I can hear you, Figs. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm not sure what's going on with my camera here. Oh, wait, here it goes. Okay. Bear with me 1 second here. What did I just do? Ah, there we go. There we go. Okay. Bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna get my Twitter going to. You want me to log into Twitter
Yes.
and on the stage? Okay.
Just give me a minute. I'm also prepping some stuff.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time. Let's see here.
Hmm. All right, seems like we're good to go. GM everyone on YouTube, GM everyone on Twitter. I know it's a bit early than, our usual space or usual podcast, but here we are right now, and we have a very special guest today. We have Six Figs. How are you, Figs?
Doing very good. How about yourself? Thanks for
I'm
having me.
doing I'm doing really well. So a little bit of a backstory. So our team is based here in Bali, and we've actually struggled with some coughing issues for the past week. So it started out with our designer. It got a flu, and then it went to me and our social media manager, and then it went to our video editor. So it went all around the place. It was really, really bad, but we never stop working. We never stop preaching about ICP, and that's what we do. You've been traveling too, Fix. So where are you in the world right now?
Yeah, so I'm in Minnesota right now in the
Mhm.
United States. But yeah, I've been all over the place. You know, it's been a busy last year for me, but I'm glad to be home. It's been very cold. minus 35 degrees. I'm not sure what that is in Celsius, but I've been freezing, and I need to get someplace warm like Bali because it sounds amazing there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, sure.
Also,
Go
real
ahead.
quick,
Yeah.
I sent a request to speak for on the X space as well. I just thought I would. I'm not sure if it went through or if I'm up. Sometimes X is glitchy. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, there we go. Okay,
About
sorry
that.
about that.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so
yeah, things
yeah,
have been
things have been
great.
great.
And
And
like I
like I
said,
said,
it's
it's
been
been
very
very
cold
cold
here.
here.
Like my
Like my
truck
truck
almost didn't
almost didn't
start the
start
other
the other
day.
day.
So
So
yeah,
yeah,
Like,
it is
it
what
is
it
what it
is.
is.
is it always? No, it's not always that cold, right? Like, I know that Minnesota is actually like a colder part in the U.S., but it's not like always like
Yeah.
what you said, minus 35.
No,
No,
yeah.
yeah,
So
so it'll
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 get
get
extremely
extremely
cold
cold
like
like
that
that
in the
in the
winter
winter
for
for
a
a
period
period
of
of
two or
two or
three
three
weeks,
weeks,
and
and
then
then
usually it
usually it
seems
seems
to
to
like
like
it'll be
it'll be
minus
minus
35
35
today,
today,
and
and
then
then
this
this
weekend
weekend
it's
it's
going to
going to
be
be
above
above
40.
40.
So we'll
So we'll
have
have
like
like
almost an 80-degree temperature swing in, maybe I don't know, 3 or 4 days. So yeah, the temperatures just fluctuate wildly. But yeah, once we get over that hump, then it's pretty good, and it's like smooth sailing.
All right.
We can stay above zero. I'm happy.
And it's so hard to ask
So
to stay above zero, guys.
yeah,
Um,
right, right.
all right, but I mean, despite everything that's happening, I'm happy to hear that you're good. This is actually our very first, conversation together. We've never had an X space before or a podcast, so welcome to. Well, right now we don't have a name for the podcast yet. We just like
Okay.
it's an ongoing competition. So for our viewers out there, if you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, if you want to have an idea of what we should name the podcast, I know that some of the most popular ideas was the ICP podcast and the disruptive talk, but we're still looking for more names. So if you guys have any ideas, let us know down in the comments. Anyways, we've got a really, really hot, a really, really juicy topic to talk about today. We're talking about a potential bull run for 2025, especially for ICP. I know a lot of people might have their own skepticism. Some people might have their own bullishism. But we kind of want to hear what your verdict is, Figs. What do you think? Is bull run the correct term? Are we looking for something else for ICP in 2025?
Yeah, I think like 2025 is going to be good. It's an interesting situation that we're in right now. And really, when it comes down to it, like just being a part of previous bull runs, I can say this: every single one of them is different, and every single bull run, everybody thinks that. This is very much different since the last bull run in many ways politically. Just it's so crazy. But I do think that there will be a bull run this year, or at least the start of one. I
Mm-hmm.
think that right now we are at this pivotal moment. Perhaps we thought we were out of the um, bear market, but a little bit further than we might have been. But with that said, we do have, at least in the United States, a very pro crypto president. There's a lot of liquidity in the United States that's going to allow for a lot of this money to kind of flow into the markets. And now we're kind of seeing a lot of other countries open up to crypto as well. And those countries will have, their currencies flowing into these markets as well. So I think that right now we've got presidents launching meme coins. We've got rug pulls from some of the other presidents. It's a crazy time for crypto right now. But I feel like, with that said, at least from my perspective, with like Donald Trump, for example, he is starting up this huge company, and it's going to rely heavily on like crypto related services. He's buying, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crypto, And my feelings are that this man is not going to leave office without making bank,
Yeah.
and he's going to send it. I mean, he's just going to send it. And um, like the guy or not, it's I do feel like he's going to probably gig a pump our bag. So I do think that it is coming. I do think that you know, the fall, I've always kind of had my eyes set on like this fall for like maybe the really heated part of the bull market.
So I have an
But that's all
interesting.
just a guess too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything's a guess, but and none of these are financial advices, guys. Keep that in mind. Do your own research. Um, by the way, speaking about political things, I'm not gonna go deep into political things, but I do have a very interesting question. Let's say that the conditions were switched and Donald Trump wasn't president. Would that change your sentiment towards crypto in any way right now?
Eh, I mean, it I feel like regardless of if he got in or not, the
Mhm.
bull market was going to happen. Maybe I feel like the bull market would still have happened, but maybe it might have not had that extra bit of oomph. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So that's my take on that. And we
Yeah,
just
so
really haven't seen that euphoria leach back into the market. And we're at the very early stages. I feel like this time right now that we're in. For a lot of these people that weren't involved with like the 2020, 2021 bull market, like I keep telling people that right now, like February 18th, February 19th, this feels almost exactly, I'm like feeling the exact same as I did back in like February of 2021. Like I just remember this feeling, and I'm like, damn, I think we're really on the heels of something here, hopefully. Um, but crypto is very unforgiving as far as our thoughts go, and it pays no attention to them. So,
yeah, it's very unforgiving to most people actually. Fun fact,
yeah.
so I wasn't actually there in crypto for the previous bull market. I actually got in just as we were entering the bear market. So all of this actually feels really new to me. And I think to a lot of Indonesians
Okay.
as well, because right now I think we have a significant growth. I forgot what the detailed numbers are, but there's been significant growth in terms of blockchain and crypto adoption in Indonesia, especially because there's this new wave of generation, kind of like those Gen Zs that are more in tune with technology. They understand better about what they're doing with their phones, with their laptops. A lot of people in our country are feeling the same way that I do, which is we have no idea what's coming up next. We've never experienced a bull market, and it's just a lot of question marks for us. Now back to talking about ICP. I'm
Mhm.
interested to know like whether or not we get a bull run is well obviously we're probably going to get a bull run. But when it comes, do you think ICP will kind of be that late bloomer? Because I heard that it was during the previous bull market. Is it going to be the same, or do you think there's a different narrative, especially with AI, especially with caffeine AI, with DeepSeek? Do you think that's going to be able to push
Mhm.
ICP even further in the early stages?
Yeah, I feel like ICP is going to have a good bull run. And like when we start looking at what it had back when it first launched, it was like March of 2021, somewhere in there. 8 weeks after it launched, Bitcoin retraced 50% in like 8 weeks or something like that. Insanely crazy. And really, ICP truly launched at the worst time. And I feel like it really hasn't seen that true upward leg of what it will accomplish as far as price wise goes. Um, But I do think that it will stay on par. I mean, we're still sitting in that top 35, top 40, area. So I do think like it's going to stay right on par with those coins. Whether or not it's a late bloomer, we'll just have to wait and see. But I'll say this. When you look at the technology that ICP has now compared to when it launched, it's night and day difference. We're talking about a junkyard car versus a Bugatti. And I feel like with the developments of caffeine AI, this is going to do absolutely tremendous things for the entire community. I don't know if anybody else in the audience has any experience playing with artificial intelligence web building.
Mm.
So I've devved out two applications using AI, purely 100% AI, exactly, caffeine AI style application. And let me tell you this, like, I think like once they release that, and a lot of these people that don't have access to like good developers, they cannot afford them. They can't find people they trust to spin up applications. Once you can break all of that down and build some really nice websites through the trust of AI, like Caffeine AI, um, we're going to see uh, the most creative applications get spun up. I mean, when you look at the community, we've got less than a percent, less than probably a tenth of a percent of the community are the ones actually developing. Now we're going to go from that to probably higher than 50% at some point, because I think like everybody's going to try it. And so this is going to drive insane growth. Like we've never seen, like no other blockchain has ever seen. This is going to be like the invention of the internet. But it's going to be a true where were you at moment when Caffeine AI launches. I've gotten some sneak peeks from some people I know that I can't talk about, but
Too
I'll say
bad.
this much: it's an amazing product. I'll say that it's phenomenal.
So okay, so this is very interesting. We're not gonna talk about what you can't share, but did you get to experience like using it firsthand, or did you just like
Mhm.
saw videos of it?
It depends on who's asking the question. I have not used it. I'll say this: I have not used it firsthand.
Okay. All right.
But I
Well,
know what it can do, and yep, I know exactly what it can do, and this is exactly what we need. And there's really nobody else in Web3 that's doing it like this. So, my hopes are high. I'll say that. And I think that once this thing does launch, um, the amount of ICP being burned is going to, I don't know, probably 5x. We're going
yeah.
to see just cycles burning like crazy. And hopefully, some of these applications these people build actually catch wind and take off in the cryptoverse. And I mean, it just takes one of these applications to onboard millions of people, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is even comparable to the stage where we moved from kind of like Web 1, where we were basically the normal humans or the normal people were basically consumers. And then we moved to kind of Web
Hmm.
2, where people became creators, they can create their own things, and that was a massive leap in terms of the internet. And like personally speaking, from like the overall narratives that Dom have shared, on his talks on Twitter and how the community has received it, I really do think that this is gonna be something like that as well, where basically anyone can now create things, they can build things using AI. It just sometimes it kind of scares me, in a way, like where are we
Hmm.
going from this? But it's also very very exciting in terms of the potential. And you mentioned cycle burn rates, um, when, if and when Caffeine AI launches, is probably going to have a massive impact on cycles, being burned.
Hmm.
So talking about cycles, I'm not really sure, or I'm not really aware of how these things like work in terms of this? Because I imagine this makes it deflationary, right? Is that correct by me
Yeah.
saying that? Can you maybe expand on it a little bit more?
Yes. Yeah. So basically, the way cycles work is what the beautiful thing about ICP is the reverse gas model. And so let's say that you spin up an application. It's the developer's responsibility to fund the transactions that happen on that application. And this reverses the gas fees for the users. This is an amazing thing because everybody gets so bent out of shape using Ethereum, especially in a full-blown bear market where you're trying to move $100, but the gas fees cost $120, so it's stuck. And so, with this model and the transaction costs of ICP, we can literally move money for pennies on the dollar, less than pennies on the dollar. And so when it comes down to cycles, um, the cycles are extremely cheap. And if I had to guess with the way that caffeine AI is probably going to be built out, if I just had to speculate on how this is going to work, I would say that developers will probably need to buy cycles in
Mhm.
order to buy computation, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
to use the internet computer's AI to, let's just say, spin up a new exchange, right? Okay, I need to change the background to blue of this exchange. Okay, this is going to cost X amount of cycles, right? And so, like, these cycles are probably going to, this is just all a guess, too. I don't know anything for sure, but, the amount of cycles that will be purchased is going to be astronomical. And if they're used for computational purposes, that will continue to accelerate the burn as time goes on, just because people will need to keep buying them. And on top of that, if we do get an application that really takes off, these developers are going to be forced to buy cycles. And basically, you buy cycles with ICP, and the cycles you spend, burn the ICP. So it's a very interesting situation that the internet computer will find itself in, with all that said and done. Again, I'm just speculating on how maybe caffeine AI would use or operate for that matter, because I don't know. But that's just my assumption.
Yeah. Basically, only
Yeah,
Dom and God knows about that, guys. But
yeah,
very
I might have to
interesting.
give him a call.
Very,
Mm,
very interesting in terms of AI. Now, we've been talking a lot about caffeine AI, but what about like
mhm.
the other AI projects on ICP? Because there are some AI initiatives coming up right now. Um, how do you think this will impact the next bull run? And I kind of want to do like a scenario here with you. Let's say that we
Mhm.
don't have caffeine AI. And we just have the existing AI prowess. We have the existing AI projects on ICP. Do you think the AI narrative is strong on ICP before Caffeine AI, or do you think Caffeine AI kind of like it skyrockets the narrative?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the argument could be made that it is a very strong. Um, there's a very strong importance to host this AI stuff on chain. At least some parts of these applications, stuff that you don't want tampered with, stuff that's just very sensitive. I do think that, like, when we start seeing like some of these AI agents that are now on chain, start to get picked up by a lot of these other companies, because there's going to be companies that do want that decentralized aspect or component of an AI agent. And ICP is really going to be the only place where they can get that. I feel like depending on what's available in terms of like products
Mm,
for AI agents might determine that. Right now, I know we've got what IC Panda. has an AI agent, right? And then I don't know, is there anybody else? I'm sure there's probably another one that I'm missing, but I think that you know, I feel like it's still going to benefit the eco, going into the bull run. But if they don't have caffeine AI, we're not going to get that big splash in the water, right? They need to get caffeine AI ready for when post euphoria hits in this bull market. And the reason is the marketing aspects will allow Definity to reach a far larger user base than right now, for example. Right now, the markets have been down. Nobody's really paying attention. It makes no sense to advertise squat.
Yeah.
Really, for the last couple of years, advertising. I hear people arguing about Definity's advertising. It makes no sense to advertise in the bear market. But going into this bull market, they'll be able to advertise that, showcase that a lot more at some of these events and conferences. And I think if they have that, we're going to see a far larger impact, um, on the recognition Definity receives and the internet computer receives from the cryptoverse for sure.
All right, you mentioned something really interesting, Vix. So you mentioned about, is it basically doesn't make sense to spend that much effort in terms of advertising in the bear market. But a lot of people
Right.
are saying like the opposite of like, they're constantly
Yeah.
criticizing Definity's way of marketing. How confident are you in terms of Definity's marketing capabilities and prowess going into the next bull market? Where does it stack up
Yeah.
to against the other chains?
That's a good question. I guess we really haven't seen them turn on the true marketing machine.
Yeah.
Now, when and really that's just because like they launched 2 weeks later, we were in a bear market, and like we've been in one ever since. So they really haven't gotten the opportunity to just turn that thing on full speed. When I was doing, I was working for Definity back in 2021, 2022 in the special projects and things like that. I'll say this, I was in 3 meetings a day with everybody. And this was over a period of a year or two. And they have some of the best and brightest minds kind of behind the scenes that will put this together quite nicely. And I'm very confident of that. A lot of these people just, um, are very methodical. These things are very thought out at Definity. They don't rush anything. They'll have this chance to really, like I said, go full turnkey into this next bull market. And I feel like Caffeine AI is one hell of a product to kind of use as the poster child um, going into the next bull market, hopefully.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
So it is what it is. Yeah.
yeah, I think in terms of like the tech people behind Affinity, I don't think there's an argument behind that. It's just that, and I
Mhm.
understand the kind of like where a lot of people are going from, in terms of like even like this is kind of like an example. Like even later on during the bull market, I do think that most likely the way that ICP is going to be marketed is going to be advertised is going to be a little bit different than other alts because ICP is in fact a lot different from the other alts. The technology behind it, like you mentioned, like AI capabilities on ICP, even the reverse gas fees. We know that Ethereum, I think probably late last year, I think introduced this feature as well, but it doesn't work the same way as how it works on ICP. So it's actually a very, very different chain. And the communication needs to also be a bit different. I'm not fully against like the people saying that Definity needs to up their marketing. I just think that we also need to understand that it's a very different product. This is something it's not the norm, so to say. But going back into talking about the bull run fix, we've been talking about AI a lot. A lot of people have been talking about AI, not just on ICP, but on other alts as well. But do you really think like this is going to be the main driving force of the bull run? And do we see a potential for another narrative coming up for 2025?
Ah, man, yeah, I don't know what will be the driving force. I hope, as far as like the crypto markets and the cryptoverse is positioned right now, it's very heavy AI. This is something that we really didn't see a year or two ago.
Yeah.
It was, just whatever, um, shit coins and NFTs. That was the rage the last cycle. Now it seems like AI could possibly be the rage going into this next cycle. But it's going to be interesting to see if any other narratives do come onto the radar, and I don't know what those would be at this point. Um, I'm trying to think outside of the box on the fly here, but AI seems like a very dominant topic or subject or technology to incorporate into Web3 right now. And if I had to try to figure out what another category or sector would be that could just come in and overtake AI at this point in time, and even going into this next bull market, it'd be very tough. So I think that AI possibly will lead the charge to an extent going into this next bull run. Obviously, we've seen the meme coins just pop off, like Pump.Fun, things like that. So, I mean, we got that going again, in full steam. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I just, I don't see anything overtaking AI, at least that narrative going into the next bull run.
All right. So yeah, I mean, obviously AI is really strong right now. Not just on
Mhm.
not just in crypto, but like the world in terms of the industry itself, technology industry. It's really big. What do you think about because a lot of people, and I do see this as well, have been saying that for a long time, DeFi has been close to non-existent on ICP, and we do see a lot of DeFi projects coming up right now. We have
Mhm.
obviously ConSwap, we've got Linfinity as well, we've got the finance as well. So a lot of things are starting to pop up. How are you looking at DeFi for 2025 onwards?
You know, um, I saw one of so here's the deal with DeFi and ICP. DeFi on ICP has been very slow. I mean, it just has been. I mean, we're at the point now with uh, with Internet Computer where we finally got some good exchanges. We've got ICP Swap, we've got Kong Swap, ICP Lighthouse. If we can get a few more, that would be great. And I think that when it comes down to it, right now, a lot of people want to swap in and out of stable coins. We've
Mhm.
got the chain key stable coins, right? But this is a very big driving force behind trading and things like that. And we've only recently got these stable coins or the chain key stable coins like within the last year.
Yeah.
I feel like I saw something from one of the leadership members of Definity. They posted this on X saying that they were looking into developing some sort of native stable coin on ICP. So now, if this happens, now we are going to get a lot lower transaction fees and things like that. Swapping in and out of these stables, right? We're not going to be paying, 1 to 2%. We're going to be paying probably a lot less. So that's going to be a huge attraction. And I feel like the last bull run, even the last year, we had zero token launch pads, nothing. There was absolutely zero. If you wanted to launch a token, you had to do it the hard way. You had to basically get a developer to get a token launched. Now, this is not the case. Now, My grandma could spin one up from the grave pretty much. It's that easy. And I feel like, with that, this is giving the degens kind of like that gasoline to throw on that fire. So it'll get bigger and bigger, and we'll see DeFi pick up over time. Obviously, once the bear market hits, everybody leaves. Once the bull market starts picking back up, everybody comes rushing in, and that's kind of where we're going to see DeFi really pick up. Is the market cap of ICP grows, we're going to see a lot more liquidity and things flowing into these exchanges and things like that. So.
I keep thinking about the dark joke you made about your grandma, um, about pulling things up. But yeah, I mean, in terms of DeFi, do you think it's gonna be able to stack up to Ethereum, for example, like DeFi is on Ethereum,
Yeah.
or is that like too long of a stretch?
Well, it all comes down to like adoption. If we can get like adoption, obviously Ethereum has what a decade on ICP as far as development goes and things like that. It's very hard for me at least, to think back like when Ethereum was first came out, what DeFi looked like. I wasn't involved with it, but I feel like given enough time, we could definitely overtake Ethereum. A lot of the people coming into the space don't like Ethereum. They don't like paying the gas fees when they can go on Solana and whatever else. Let's just face it, Solana breaks down every once in a while, but their gas fees it's cheap, like ICP. ICP is way cheaper. So, we're going to get a lot of these, fresh new people into crypto. They're not going to want to really mess with ETH too much. It's going to be more of the OG stuff, or if there's a really popping project, that'll still see use. I don't think Ethereum is going to go anywhere soon, but given the next 5 to 10 years, things could shift. I mean,
Yeah,
everything good, comes to an end, including Ethereum, and I suspect Bitcoin too at some point.
yeah, and change is
So
always
yeah,
good.
yeah, right, exactly. Yep, yeah, I agree
So,
with that.
so, um, another question that I have for you, Fix, is so we've been talking a lot about ICP's tech. Basically, we
Hmm.
all know how good the Holy Grail is. But despite all of that, a lot of people still have theirs. Like a lot of people outside of ICP still have their own skepticism. Do you
Hmm.
see this changing in 2025? And if this does change, how do you think we're gonna be able to kind of like push this adoption towards ICP because the tech is there? It's just the
Yeah,
adoption is not following.
yep. And really, we are only one single step away from changing people's minds that are doubting. When you start to look at like the way things are developed, from a user standpoint, every feature is a point where you can lose a customer.
Yeah,
And if you can build up one of these applications like Caffeine AI to a point where this thing is super easy and people love it, well, we're going to see just this mass inflow of people to this ecosystem, and more mass adoption coming. So I feel like as long as Caffeine AI, and I'm not just going to hinge this all on Caffeine AI, I think it's going to be a huge catalyst, because if Caffeine AI is done right, where it's so user friendly that my grandma could use it, um, that we will see all these degens all of a sudden that are some of the most creative people I've ever talked to in my life. And they are now going to be spinning up all these applications. If they can find success in constructing these applications in a way that they're so user friendly, that's where people start to get like addicted to applications and things like that. It's just the way it is. Like people like that, that don't like to think while they're using an application. And if you can kind of bridge that gap, we'll solve all those problems easy.
yeah. I mean, again, the ability to have basically anyone build things that are usable, it's mind blowing. Um,
Really is.
and we're actually really excited for that. If you guys can tell, we've been talking about it a lot. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and head over to, maybe let's do Twitter right now. I'm gonna
Okay.
see. All right, let's push this. I'm still connected. All right, guys. So everyone on Twitter, if you have any questions, please do leave a question. I know it's still very early, especially for people in our time zone, which is Indonesia. While for Figs, it's closer to 10 p.m. over there, right? Um, so it's a bit late over there. We also see on YouTube. Let's have a look on YouTube first. Oh, and by the way, guys, just a reminder. Probably moreover for everyone, and rather than Fix, because Fix is not gonna understand this. But we have another space later tonight. It's gonna be in Indonesian. It's gonna be a super fun fireside chat. It's gonna involve one of the hottest crypto influencers in Indonesia. And we're gonna go over and debate on whether or not ICP is bullish. So it's a very interesting topic. It's gonna be a very interesting space. Make sure that you guys join in, and remember that if you ask questions on space on our podcast, you're gonna have a chance to win some ICP. Uh, Last week we, I think, gave away zero point 0.6 ICP to 3 people. So if you want to share those ICP, make sure that you guys ask a question. I'm gonna go ahead and ask my mod to kind of see if anyone is asking.
Yeah, it's I've got one of the guy that does my thumbnails. I started hiring a guy to do my thumbnails, and he's some young kid from he's like 16 years old from Indonesia.
Oh, he is.
So yeah, yes, does a great job. So yeah, he's doing bang up work.
Amazing,
So if
amazing.
anybody needs a thumbnail editor, let me know and I'll connect you.
Yeah, I think um that's one of the things that I've been seeing here in Indonesia as well. A lot of people are really starting to get into crypto. Like I knew this one
That's
friend.
awesome.
He's been I've been friends with him since like elementary school. Um
Nice.
and up until last year, um he has no clue what crypto is. And then suddenly, the last time I met him, which was around like 2 months ago, he was this full on degen guy. He was like hunting airdrops on Telegram. He was talking about white papers, and I was like, "Bro, what happened to you?" But this is real, guys. I mean, this
That's
is
awesome.
really happening, and it's nice to see. And I'm not just talking about, about pumping prices and everything. Overall, like the core of blockchain technology is good. Decentralization, the core message, the core value is good. And that's basically what we want to see. It's not just about pumping prices and
Hmm.
everything. We just
Yeah.
want, how can we like elevate, humans through technology in a way where it's fair, where opportunity is distributed. But that's just me rambling on. So, Figs, I do want to know what are the projects that you're looking into right now on ICP. Maybe you can spill why they're interesting to you.
Yeah. I've done some work with CoinSwap as an advisor, and I've done a lot of testing behind the scenes on the systems before they go live. I'm super bullish on it, and I've invested my own money into that as well. But it's a great non-clunky swap, and like there's some amazing features coming to it. I'm excited for products like that getting built. I would love to see more Gamblify on
Mhm.
ICP. I believe there's like Open FPL or
Yeah.
something like that. But yeah, I would like to see more Gamblify on ICP. Everything from I want to see casinos get built up. I want to see lotteries. I want to see all that stuff because the true degen, that's what they want, right? They want high leverage trades. They want things like that. Those are the types of projects that I'm looking for. I think just because they just have the ability just to make such an impact as far as growth is concerned. We see some of these viral games, happen, and next thing you know, you're researching what chain it's on or how do you play it, or you look at like poly markets, for example. And poly markets, yeah, guess what? You got to use like Polygon or what, maybe ETH to interact with poly markets. So if we can get something like that going that just onboards has the potential to onboard just in tremendous amounts of people. But I feel like that's kind of what I'm looking at, just kind of going into this. And by nature, I am one of those just degen. I don't want to call myself a gambler, but a risk taker uh, to some extent.
Yeah. Fix is a DJ at heart, guys.
Oh yes,
Um,
very much so.
by the way, you mentioned Gamblify. We just did an X space, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. It was basically talking about ICP projects. Um, One of the projects that we're talking there was called Dragon Eyes. And this was basically
Mhm.
like an on-chain um, gambling platform. And it allowed you to basically gamble Solana but using a digital twin that they create on ICP. And it's not CK Soul,
Okay.
so they create like this their own like Solana twin. I don't know how it works, but
Okay.
I've tried the game and it was pretty fun. So if you're really into gambling, maybe you should go ahead and check that out. Now
Interesting.
I do have a question about OpenFPL, and the reason why I'm asking this is because I do play like real FPL.
Okay.
And I've been super addicted to it. Like, do you have any like thoughts on this? Because from my understanding, is that it's kind of been a little bit slower. I think towards the Q3 of last year in terms of OpenFPL. But do you have any like update news on OpenFPL? Are you like consistently looking into it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never used it or
Yeah.
really looked at it, but I do know that was probably one of the first sports gambling applications on ICP. I don't know if it's up yet, or I don't know anything about it. Um, but it just kind of popped into my head. I do feel like prediction markets are going to be huge as well on
Mhm.
chain for all the chains. Um, it's a fun way to tokenize any event um, on Earth. I mean, everything from some live feed of I don't know a snowstorm, and you can gamble on when the first car crash is going to happen out on the freeway to a rocket blowing up or something on the launch pad. Like it's just it's incredible. Like there's so many different things that you can all of a sudden bring to the blockchain
Yeah.
as
And
far as
and
events and things like that are concerned.
so I think now I know when Cafe AI launches, I actually know who's gonna build the first gambling application on ICP, guys. It's gonna be Figs.
Dominic Williams.
He's gonna do it.
I,
I mean, yeah, it's really interesting to be able to
yeah,
build
I,
these things.
I I'm involved with some gambling projects and things like that on Ethereum right now, where
Mhm.
I'm a core investor. But it is it's the house always wins, right? So it's a great actually business to invest in,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
necessarily to play it.
not necessarily to play it. All right, guys. Oh, we do have one question here. It's from YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
What role does AI, DeFi, and Web3 adoption play in ICP's growth prospects? Well, I think this is pretty much self-explanatory. I think we've talked a lot about this during this podcast, but why don't you give us like a quick wrapped answer, Biggs? DeFi,
Can
AI,
you re-
and Web3 adoption. So DeFi, AI, and Web3 adoption, how much is it going to play in terms of ICP's growth in 2025?
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a tremendous part of its growth. I feel like right now ICP, when you look at ICP from like like the outside, what can it do? Well, you got guess what? It can host applications. So you can host all these DeFi projects on there. You can host all these AI projects on there. When you look at like there's it's limitless what you can do with ICP. And then when you look at like applications or chains like Solana, for example, and I'm not bashing Solana in any way. I use Solana all the time, and I'm invested in crazy amount of money into projects on Solana as well. But when you look at Solana, the technical capabilities end really, really quickly. You cannot host anything on chain there. It's just not going to happen. And when it comes down to it, we're seeing like really only meme coins and like NFTs thrive on Solana, at least that I'm aware of. But when it comes down to like ICP, I feel like Solana won't be able to. They might have great DeFi, but they might lack in other areas where ICP can excel at. And I feel like everything that Solana's doing, ICP can excel at tenfold in every sector that you could imagine. So I feel like, DeFi AI and what was the other one?
Web3
Just
adoption.
Web3 adoption. Yeah, it's AI web. Yeah, it's all going to go hand in hand. Um, and I feel like all of a sudden, let's say we get a huge influx of degens into these DeFi applications. I mean, it's going to help grow the AI sector of ICP, and it's going to help with the growth. And the same could be said like vice versa. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It goes hand in hand. They'll work off each other with each other.
Perfect. We got another interesting question, which I think you're gonna laugh at. Um,
Okay.
will ICP hit a new all-time high this season or this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll say this much, like I've studied the ICP um, tokenomics now for the last 4 years, right? And I'll say this, or 3 years, or whatever, going back to 2021 at least. And so when people look at some of those first all-time highs that were just amazingly beautiful on some of those charts back from the last bull run, there's there is uh, I, there is something like behind the scenes that I feel like is going to prevent it from hitting those numbers um, right now, or at least this bull run, and that is the token supply. Because when we look back at 2021, there was, I want to say, like 120 to 150 million tokens in circulation,
Mhm.
or that was the supply. And now we're right at about 500 million. So we've seen the supply increased almost 3.5 times. So I feel like trying to hit some of those high numbers, like $800, $1,000, is going to be quite hard. And when I try to like figure out in my mind where I think ICP is going as far as a price tag is concerned, I settle right around that. I'll say like $150 range to yeah, maybe 150 to like 175, maybe 140 to $175 range. And I say this because looking, and that's a conservative number for this bull run. Once we can get a deflationary environment, we start to see all these tokens getting burned. That's when the real fun happens. And I feel like, we've seen other projects in the last bull run, like Cardano, for example, that hit $100 billion. It came out of nowhere, hit $100 billion. For ICP to hit $100 billion, a $billion market cap, I feel like that is a given. And just doing the rough math in my head, that would be like right around a $190-ish ICP token. So maybe I'll restructure my prediction to like 150 to $200, somewhere in there. And when we start looking at like other market caps, I feel like $100 billion is a very good number to hit going into this bull market. When we start thinking of like $150 billion, that would lead us to about a $300 ICP. Very possible. It's very possible that we see that hit. But once we start going to Ethereum level, I mean, basically we need to be at like Ethereum market caps today
Yeah.
to even see that $600-$700 ish range. I don't think that we're going to get $300 billion. And I hope I am wrong, but I don't think we're going to get to a $300 billion market cap this cycle. I hope I'm wrong. I would love to see it because we'd all be rich. It's just, but it's so that's kind of my thoughts on that. And of course, my target has become. I've been like, I don't want to say certain, that's the wrong word, but I've been more confident in that kind of like thought process, even more with caffeine AI on the heels of launching. So yeah, hopefully we get a decent price boost. That would be helpful for
Yeah,
everyone's morale.
there's always that hope, guys. Just remember that this is alien tech that we're talking about, so it's gonna be a little bit different in terms of how it rolls out. All right, Fix. I think that pretty much wraps up everything. Wow, it's been actually a really, really good talk with you. Pleasure to
Same.
have you here. I think one thing that I would like to ask from you is what message do you have for everyone listening right now? Because obviously this is also we're gonna put like bits of the recording on Twitter as well.
Mhm.
So we're gonna make sure that this part goes. What message do you have for the ICP community for 2025?
The ICP community, if I had to give them one word of advice, is to just hang in there. These storms pass, and the best sailors have to sail through these wicked storms. So at the end of the day, we know what we have, we know what we're invested in. I couldn't think of a better, you know, ecosystem to be a part of as far as opportunity. And I feel like, with Affinity at the wheel, we're going to see some really amazing things. So I am very content. I'm seeing these numbers, these prices hit the $6, $7 level. I'm very content. I mean, we've been here already. We've done this. Like, it's part of the game. And once this thing takes off, you're not going to care if you bought at $6 or if you bought at $20. So
All right, guys, there you have it from Six Fix. Fix, thank you so much for making it.
my
Even though
pleasure.
it's a bit late over there.
It's okay.
Um, and it was really good to have you here. And we hopefully have another episode of this with you and some other exciting people from the ICP ecosystem.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for having me. And my door is always open. Just reach out if you ever want to talk ICP.
All right, amazing things. Thank you so much. Now to everyone on YouTube, on X, we're still below that 1 hour mark, which is our target. So I'm going to use this moment to kind of explain what's going to happen later on tonight. And Fix, you can stay here, but if you want to leave, also feel free. Again, thank you so much, sir. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks. I'm
All
going to
right,
duck off. So it was great to talk with you and everybody tonight. So
sure.
have a great day.
See you, man.
Yeah, peace.
All right, guys. So for anyone that's wondering what's happening tonight, is we're gonna have a fireside chat with Don Carlito and Crypto Eights. This is gonna be like a mini battle. It's basically gonna showcase ICP's technological prowess. So if you're up for that, make sure that you join in on Twitter later tonight at 8 p.m. GMT plus 8. And we're also gonna have some ICP tokens that we can give away. So be sure if you want to win some ICP tokens, be sure that you make it into our space. Everything is on our profile, so you can just go check it out, set your reminders, and we'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. And that's all from me. I'm the ICP intern, and we're closing off this podcast and this space. To everyone on Twitter right now, if you haven't had the chance, be sure to always check our YouTube because a lot of good things are happening on YouTube as well. All right, guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.